The Steelers get their second straight win, beating the Las Vegas Raiders 23-18 on Sunday Night Football. This was the Steelers' best performance on offense so far throughout this season, and even though the offense still didn't look great, at least this offense looked serviceable at times. Now, the defense still won the day for Pittsburgh. They had 3 interceptions on Jimmy, turning the ball over, Garoppolo. I mean, you look at a quarterback, and you just ask yourself, what do I want out of my starting quarterback? Well, you want your starting quarterback to not lose you the damn game when you have the opportunity to win it, and that's what Jimmy Garoppolo did. I mean, the final offensive possession for the Las Vegas Raiders, Jimmy Garoppolo throws an interception, his second to the same player, and Levi Wallace. And I just look at Jimmy Garoppolo, I'm saying, bro, like, why the hell would you throw that pass? And even before that, Las Vegas had an opportunity before their final offensive drive to go ahead and try to tie this game up. But instead of going for the touchdown and the potential 2-point conversion, Josh McDaniels opts to kick the field goal. And many people criticize this decision by Josh McDaniels, but I don't really get what all the criticism is for when Josh McDaniels, at the end of the day, still got what he wanted. He kicked the field goal, the defense got to stop, and his offense had the opportunity to win the game with the ball in their hands. If you're an offensive-minded coach, that's how you want the game to play out. You want to be able to kick a field goal, rely on your defense to get a stop for you, and then give your offense the opportunity to go ahead and finish the game. The problem with that is that you got Jimmy Garoppolo, who necessarily isn't really great when you need your quarterback to engineer a game-winning drive and put you in positions to win. So if you're the Las Vegas Raiders, if I'm Josh McDaniels and I got Jimmy G at quarterback, it's like, man, I'd rather go ahead and go for the touchdown, get the 2-point conversion, just go ahead and try to win the game when I'm already in easy scoring range for a touchdown versus asking Jimmy G to have to drive me the length of the field to put me in position to win. But I don't necessarily think it was a terrible decision by Josh McDaniels because it still played out the way that he wanted it to. He still got the final result that he wanted, which was his offense having a chance to win the game for him. That's exactly how you draw it up. So I don't really get the outrage over the decision because it still worked out in his favor. And if Las Vegas would have missed the field goal, then okay, it makes sense. But let's not act like Josh McDaniels going for the field goal lost this game for the Raiders. What lost this game for the Raiders was Jimmy Garoppolo playing garbage when the game was on the line. And the Las Vegas Raiders, their defense didn't look good. You're going against one of the worst offenses in the NFL, and this is coming from a Pittsburgh Steelers fan. Like, Matt Canada's play calling still doesn't look good. The offense just was able to look better in this game because Kenny Pickett had a really good performance and the receivers stepped up and made some really nice plays. Calvin Austin had a big 72-yard touchdown in the first quarter. George Pickens also had a really good game, but Kenny Pickett, he was really solid in this game. He definitely had his best game of the season. He was 16 of 28, 235 through the air, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. This was the kind of performance that you want to see out of Kenny Pickett. And I had a homeboy that was like, Kenny Pickett, ain't that y'all franchise quarterback? I looked at him crazy. I was like, franchise quarterback? I don't know about all that, but he's the quarterback. You feel me? And Kenny Pickett did what was needed to win this game. But for the run game, it still is non-existent. I don't care if the Steelers had a lot of yards on the ground. I think a good way to tell if you have a good rushing attack is looking at how many yards you average per carry. If you're averaging anything under 4 yards per carry, your run game sucks. And the Steelers only average 3.4 yards per carry anytime they run the football. Najee Harris doesn't look that good. Jaylen Warren looks better than Najee Harris, just keeping it a beam with you. And I'm a little bit biased because I've been covering Jaylen Warren dating back to his time at Oklahoma State, but he just looks like he has way more juice and he's just way more dynamic and explosive than what Najee Harris is. And for a guy like Najee Harris, when you're playing behind the offensive line that's not that great and you don't really have that explosiveness that a guy like Jaylen Warren has, I think it's really pivotal that your offensive line that's opening up those running lanes in front of you is really good. When you got a guy like Jaylen Warren who's able to be explosive and he has more acceleration than a guy like Najee Harris, even if the blocking isn't there, he still has the agility and the speed to find a small run lane and being able to cram through it and turning a bad run play into a good run play. But Najee Harris doesn't really have that ability that I think Jaylen Warren kind of has. Like with Jaylen Warren, I think that he's a running back that can do more with terrible blocking than what Najee Harris can. Sometimes you just have running backs like that. Now, I'm not saying that Jaylen Warren is just a complete better back than Najee Harris, but I do think right now, given the state of how this offensive line has performed for the Steelers, Jaylen Warren right now gives this offense a little bit more juice at running back than what Najee Harris does. Najee Harris, with his skill set being a power back, I think he more so needs good offensive line play versus a guy like Jaylen Warren who's fast enough that if he gets a little bit of space off the edge, he can turn a play that could result in 2 yards into a 15-yard gain. Now, for the Raiders, you know, they're 1-2 now. Like I told you guys before the season, this team is not going to be good. I think they're only going to win no more than 2, maybe 3 games. And this game kind of confirmed the problems that I had with the Las Vegas Raiders. This offensive line was getting beat up by the defensive line of the Pittsburgh Steelers. And this is an offense that, you know, you think they could be really good because they do have talent. They do got a really good group of wide receivers. Davante Adams was going crazy. I mean, he had like 170-something yards. He had 2 touchdowns. There was not a single defensive back on the Steelers roster that could cover Davante Adams in this game. But outside of him, you got Jacoby Myers, you got Hunter Renfrow, but we didn't really see a lot of Hunter Renfrow in this game. And there's a couple of other really good skill players that they have on this offense that the Raiders didn't really utilize against this Steelers defense. And hell, even the tight ends, Michael Mayer, he looks pretty good. You would have loved to see him get a little bit more action in this game. It's just that Josh McDaniels and the Las Vegas Raiders, you know, for him to be an offensive-minded coach, they really look flat in this game. And I do get that they were going against one of the best defenses in the NFL, but still, like, you just expect more out of your offense. You know, the Steelers' offense outperformed the Las Vegas Raiders' offense, and despite the turnovers, the Steelers' offense still had a pretty good game. And for the Raiders moving forward, Josh Jacobs, you can't get him going. This is somebody who led the league in rushing last year, and he had, -2 rushing yards in your previous outing against the Buffalo Bills, and in this game, he didn't really look all that better. He was held to just 62 rushing yards, and TJ Watt, he couldn't be stopped neither. The Las Vegas Raiders, I don't think they're a really good team. I think they are one of the worst teams in the NFL. They aren't really well coached. The defense hasn't played great, and it shows because Matt Canada had probably the best play calling that he's had all season, and even in this game, people were calling out the play calling. Le'Veon Bell, early in the game, was saying, what is this play calling? It looks trash. But the Steelers beat the Las Vegas Raiders. They improved to 2-1 on the season with the 23-18 win, and the Las Vegas Raiders fall to 1-2 on the season with their second straight loss.